So we're going to be looking at Hunter, Paladin, and Warrior cards in this video, which also, interestingly, Paladin and Warrior are kind of the two classes that people feel like have been needing the most help. So I'm really curious to see if any of these cards are going to help Paladin or Warrior can be a little bit more popular in the meta. And first up, we have the Hunter Legendary. Finally, Hunter getting a Legendary in a mini set. It is a 6 mana 5/4 Defense Attorney Nathanos. Battle Cry: discover a friendly death rattle minion that died this game, trigger and gain its death rattle. Yes, 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 yes. I am so excited for this. I love death rattle stuff. The kind of old school death rattle Hunter was my absolute favorite deck of all time. So death rattles in Hunter, I'm so excited for. And this can kind of work a little bit earlier, but being able to trigger and gain the death rattle, so much value in this card. Really excited for this one. The next Hunter card is a spell, Motion Denied. It's 2 mana, a secret. After your opponent plays 3 cards in a turn, deal 6 damage to the enemy hero. This one for me is not a super strong secret. Maybe if the opponent is pretty low on health, dealing the 6 damage late in the game could be actually enough to end the game, or put it, you know, very close, maybe ending the next turn. But I feel like this is just kind of another secret that is decently easy to play around, and it just adds to the Hunter pool of secrets, which I already feel like is kind of large. So this may be just one that players have to test for a little bit, but it's easy to play around for many decks. Some decks do play quite a few cards in one turn, but overall, I think for most classes and most decks, this is probably going to be pretty easy to play around and ultimately a little bit insignificant. So I'm not actually thrilled on this one. Next up, we have another Infuse Beast. The first part, it's a Shade Hound. First part starts off as a 5 mana 6/5 beast that says whenever this attacks, give your other beasts +2/+2 and infuse 3 beasts. This will gain Rush. So if you have 3 other beasts die while this is in your hand, it's a 5 mana 6/5 with Rush, and whenever it attacks, give your other beasts +2/+2. Initially, I would have probably said this card's pretty bad, the infuse is slow. Yes, there is the little caveat that it has to be beasts to die, but ultimately, I think this is going to be pretty powerful. Even if you don't infuse it, just the fact that whenever it attacks, if you possibly can give it a Wind Fury type effect, but even being able to rush out the base body with the location, the Castle Kennels, seems like this card definitely can give some value on the board. It's not a death rattle, so there's no kind of death rattle synergy there, but it's a beast. It can get cheaper with beast synergies. It can get pulled from the deck with some other beast synergies. It does cost 5, so there are ways to pull it out of the deck. It just actually seems like it has a lot of value potential behind it. So this is definitely one that I think is going to be very popular. And moving into Paladin, the first one is Jury Duty, a 3 mana spell that says summon 2 Silverhand recruits, give your Silverhand recruits +1/+1. So immediately for 3, even if you have nothing else out on the board, you get 2 2/2s. For 3, it's not terrible. Could fit into you know, Dude Paladin, Silverhand Recruit Paladin, token style decks. Maybe it's enough to support the class. I think this can be pretty decent, but I feel like you're going to want to have at least one other body on the board to really get good value out of this. I think if this were 2 mana, it would definitely see a ton of play. I'm not sure how it's going to do at 3 mana. Next up, we have a Class Action Lawyer, a 2 mana 2/3 Battle Cry. If your deck has no neutral cards, set a minion's stats to 1/1. Love this card. The artwork's fantastic. Just a 2 mana 2/3 body is great. And you have that effect. Yes, there is the stipulation that This has to be in a deck that has no neutrals, or it has to be later in the game, potentially if you're kind of at, you know, no cards in your deck, you would still get this effect as well. But I think especially in the classy Paladin decks that want to have no neutrals in the deck, this is just one more beneficial card. And getting a body in addition to setting one of your opponent's minions to a 1/1 seems fantastic to me. I really like this one a lot. I can't wait to play this one. Then next up we have Order in the Court, a 2-mana spell. Reorder your deck from highest cost to lowest cost. Draw a card. Wow. Well, we've seen similar effects like this in the past. Wow, does Paladin, especially classy Paladin, really, really want something like this? This I feel like is absolutely amazing. Being able to play this and immediately be able to start finding things like even cards or decks that have neutrals, right? You don't have to play this just in the classy Paladin. You could play this in any kind of Paladin deck, but to immediately start finding things like Denathrius, Leviathan, Onyxia, just anything like that, this is awesome. Even if this also is played in a dude style token Paladin, to be able to play this and find your 5s and 6s, that seems great, right? Those are going to be the most powerful cards. And oftentimes, I think especially for decks that want to kind of play on curve, which I feel like a lot of the Paladins in Hearthstone's history have wanted that, this card fits that. I think this is really, really awesome. And moving into warrior cards, we have Call to the Stand, 1 mana. Your opponent summons a random minion from their hand. Hand, not even deck, from hand. This one seems really cool. I don't know how much warrior wants to put this in, but maybe in a warrior that's more control style, this does find a spot. There's a lot of minions that I think could definitely get value out of being pulled from hand with this. Theatar, Denathrius, just some of those key cards in a lot of different decks, but also the fact that this is only 1 cost, the warrior can play this, pull a minion out, and be able to remove that minion without the opponent being able to answer it or try to put it back in their hand or get any effects off of it is, I think, where it's most important. I think this definitely will be a factor in some warrior decks. This might actually help warriors start to get back in the meta. Then we have Mossworn Bailiff, a 5-mana 4/4 taunt, and Battlecry. If you have 4 or more armor, gain +4/+4. Just seems like a solid card all around. Yes, it costs 5 and it's only a 4/4, but it's got the taunts, and you're probably going to be able to, oftentimes in warrior, play this and actually make it a 5-mana 8/8. Generally there's armor, but also the fact that it's a taunt I think helps it a lot. So yeah, I could see control warriors starting to come back in the meta and use this card for sure. And lastly, we have Weapons Experts, a 3-mana 3/2 Battlecry. If you have a weapon equipped, give it +1/+1. Otherwise, draw a weapon. Woo! This is good. I really like all 3 of these warrior cards. But this one, it feels good to play the Battlecry effect, regardless if you have a weapon or not, because you do get an effect. The only time I think this won't feel great is if you don't have any more weapons left in the deck and you don't have one equipped or you've used them already. Then at that point, you're just getting a 3/2 body. But it's a little bit more statted, more aggressively statted, and you're probably, in most cases, going to get an effect out of it. So it seems pretty good. I am actually kind of excited to play Paladin and Warrior again. Now, are you going to be trying some new decks? Do you think these cards are enough to bring Paladin and Warrior back into the meta? Let me know in those comments below. And if you haven't already, make sure to check out these other videos here, especially the other videos on the other mini set cards that I have been doing and talking about as they come out. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.